When my mother slid the envelope across the table, she couldn't look me in the... My father didn't bother with the pretense. 48 hours, he said, voice steady as if cutting off his only child. Was routine business. I remember the smell of his cologne, cedar, and control. He wore it every time he prepared to destroy something. I didn't argue, didn't cry. I just folded the eviction letter neatly and slipped it into my purse as though it were a receipt I'd never use. 3 days earlier, I'd sold my company, Hartley Dynamics, to a London firm for $43 million. Quietly, legally, entirely mine. No one knew, not even my parents, especially not them. They thought I'd been fired, that I'd failed, that the girl who used to color code her Legos had finally made a mess too big to fix. Let them think it. For now, I used to worship them. My parents were the kind of people other people studied. Precise, unflinching, sharp as glass. My father built empires. My mother managed the people who served them. I learned early that affection was earned, not given. That every dinner was a test, every compliment a transaction. When I launched my startup, my father didn't say congratulations. He said, don't embarrass us. For years I didn't. I grew the company from a rented basement to a downtown office. I raised funds, hired teams, built software that Fortune 500 companies couldn't stop calling about. And when the acquisition offer came in, 43 million clean, I signed it alone in silence at 2:14 a.m. By 2:15, I knew exactly what I'd do next. The betrayal didn't start with the eviction. Started when I found out what they'd been doing behind my back. Trusted my parents with part of the company, 10% each. A symbolic gesture, I thought. Family pride, legacy. But a month before the acquisition, I noticed an anomaly in our data systems. Files accessed remotely, financial models replicated. At first, I blamed my CTO, but then I traced the IP addresses. They led straight to my parents' private accountant. I confronted him over lunch. Lemon sole, no starch. He folded faster than the napkin in his lap. My parents had been preparing to sell their shares to my biggest competitor, Crueltech, in exchange for a consulting position and, ironically, a seat on the very board they once mocked me for chasing. They were planning to replace me before I even cashed out. That night I didn't sleep. I didn't rage. I calculated. The plan was simple, cold, surgical. Step 1. Accelerate the sale. Quietly finalize the deal through my legal proxy before their signatures mattered. Step 2. Leak a fabricated memo about my termination from Hartley Dynamics. Let the news spread. Let my parents believe. Step 3. Let them act. Let them show me who they really were when they thought I had nothing left. By the time they slid that eviction envelope across the table, they'd already wired their shares to Crueltech. They thought they were clever. What they didn't know was that the shares they sold were obsolete, voided by a restructuring I'd filed the night before the sale. Their contracts were dust before the ink even dried. So, when Krolt tried to claim ownership after the acquisition, they found themselves holding worthless paper. My parents lost their leverage, their reputation, and their golden retirement plan all in one move, and I just smiled, folded my letter, and walked out of their house for the last time. But I wasn't done. I could have left it there, but cruelty unpunished first, and I wanted them to feel it, So I waited 3 weeks. Then I invited them to dinner. Neutral ground, upscale restaurant, private table by the window. They arrived late. My mother wore pearls. My father wore the expression of a man who still thought the world bowed to him. Raised my glass. To family, I said. He smirked. You finally found another job. I leaned forward, voice steady. No. Sold the company. The silence that followed was exquisite. My mother blinked. My father's hand froze midair. For how much? He asked. 43 million, he swallowed. And you sold your shares. I cut into Keltec. For a deal they can't legally enforce. His jaw tightened. My mother reached for her water. I know you tried to outmaneuver me. I continued. You forgot who taught me the game. They didn't speak after that. They didn't need to. The color draining from their faces said enough. Finished my wine, left cash on the table, and walked away. There's silence, trailing behind me like an old ghost, finally collapsing under its own weight. Now I live quietly. Penthouse, overlooking the city. No company, no board, no family dinners or performative affection. Just peace. Sometimes my mother calls, leaves voicemails that start polite and brittle. My father doesn't call at all. That's fine. They were never built for humility. They taught me how to win by any means. Just perfected the lesson. When people ask about my parents, I tell them the truth. They're alive, just not in my world anymore. I built my own. The night after that dinner, I sat by the window, watching the city pulse below. And for the first time, I felt the one thing they never gave me: freedom. Not from failure, not from fear, from them. Wasn't revenge for losing their love. Was justice for giving it to people who never deserved it. And as I watched the skyline glow with the company I'd built, then sold, then weaponized, I realized something. Blood isn't thicker than water. It just stains deeper when you finally wash it.